spent months organizing this, hoping that it would rekindle our love. But you didn't even book the time off work. Was it that hard? You spoke as your voice now started shaking with frustration and anger. The room was filled with heavy silence, and the air around was tensed because once the couple were in deep love was fighting as if they are enemies. I told you 1,000 times, I've been busy. You know how demanding my job is right now. That's your excuse for everything. You yelled while tears dropping from your eyes. You were deeply hurt and angry. I put so much effort into this trip because I wanted us to reconnect. It felt like I'm the only one trying to save this marriage. Maybe that's because you are the only one who thinks it needs saving. His voice tinged with bitterness. You stopped and looked at him, not able to process this sentence. What is that supposed to mean? Jungkook rubbed his temples, trying to keep his composure. It means you're always pushing, always demanding more. Nothing I do is ever enough for you. I'm exhausted, Ryan. And I am exhausted from feeling like I don't matter to you anymore. Do you even care about us, about me? Your voice broke. Jungkook never used harsh words, but today you almost didn't recognize him. Of course I care, but I can't breathe with you constantly nagging and complaining. I never thought I would ever feel this way, but I feel like marrying you was the biggest regret of my life. The words hung in the air, your heart broke into millions of pieces. You stared at him. Meanwhile, Jungkook immediately regretted his outburst, but he couldn't take it back. The look on your face told him it was too late. Ryan, I'm really sorry. That's not what I want to. Leave. Jungkook, please go. You were deeply hurt and Jungkook knew he made a mistake, but it was really difficult to control when you were complaining about everything. Ryan, listen. You stormed outside the room while tears dropping down to your cheeks. Jungkook grabbed his hair and then banged on the wall, regretting his choice of words. You came in the living room and held the edge of the couch before leaning forward, and finally you let out your sobs. His words kept playing in your head. It's not even a year since you both are married, and this marriage already fell apart. It was not an arranged marriage. You both dated for 3 years before marrying. Everything was special and dreamy about your relationship. Whoever sees you wished to become partners like both of you. You both were in deep love with each other. Jungkook was always a loving and caring partner who loves you more than anything. But after the marriage, it's like someone eyed your healthy relationship. It didn't remain like before. Small fights started to turn into big arguments. According to him, you have changed so much that he can't even recognize the girl he fell in love with. And as for you, Jungkook has become cold and distant. He's always ignorant and lost interest in making efforts in the marriage just because he married his favorite woman and now he doesn't think he needs to put any effort. I can't believe you could say something so hurtful. I always loved you, but I think it's not worth trying to protect this marriage. Realizing how deep he hurt you by his words, he decided to apologize no matter what it takes, because no matter how much you fight or complain, in the end, you were each other's life. Jungkook could see your efforts to make this marriage work, but he doesn't understand why it needs efforts when you can be happy loving each other. You are no longer the Ryan who used to be happy with even a small thing. Now whatever he does, you always find fault and how it can be more special. He imagined a happy and peaceful married life with you, but things really turn out horrible. You are influenced by others to make your relationship picture perfect, but in reality, it's falling apart just like how it happens behind those picture perfect lives. Jungkook made his way out of the room and went to the living room, only to find you sleeping on the floor. You must have slept after crying your heart out. He slowly sat down near your sleeping figure and looked at you. His eyes were teary. I'm sorry that I failed to give you that picture perfect life. I know you deserve better and trust me, I'm trying. But I don't want my Ryan to change. It hurts Ryan, trust me. I'm not perfect and I never was. Still, you chose me because you said that I'm real. I make you feel loved and safe. Then why everything changed now, Ryan? Don't you trust me now? We were supposed to be more happy after this marriage. Why it turned completely different? I still love you the same and I will keep loving you until I die. I'm sorry for saying that. I was angry and I know I can't use that as an excuse, but I'm really sorry. I really love you. He wiped his eyes and got up before picking you slowly in his arms. He walked towards your bedroom and made you lay on the bed and pulled a blanket over you. The next morning, you sat in the kitchen, staring at the bouquet of roses and the breakfast Jungkook had prepared before leaving for work. The scent of fresh flowers mingled with the aroma of pancakes and coffee, a combination that should have brought a smile to your face. It was your first anniversary, but you weren't happy, not after yesterday. There was a note attached. He wished you happy anniversary and he apologized for everything that happened yesterday. And he did not mean those words, but maybe it was too late. You made up your mind for something that you never thought you would do. You couldn't shake the pain, the feeling of betrayal and hopelessness. The effort he had put into the morning gesture felt like a band-aid on a wound that needed stitches. You pushed the card away and stared at the divorce papers you had retrieved from the drawer. The decision had been brewing for weeks, but last night solidified it. This marriage was not working. The love that once flowed so freely between you now felt like a distant memory, suffocating by constant arguments, unmet expectations. Maybe we really failed to become the couple we wanted. I don't think there's any use of hurting each other. With a deep breath, you picked up a pen and signed your name at the bottom of the document. A tear slipped down your cheek, but you wiped it away quickly. You left the signed papers on the kitchen table, next to the untouched breakfast and the bouquet. You decided to leave this house. It was really hard for you to stay here after hearing that he just see this marriage as a regret. In the evening when Jungkook came back home, he brought a cake with him to celebrate this amazing day, just like how you used to celebrate your anniversaries before the marriage. He thought your mind would be at peace by now. The house was silent. He walked in the kitchen and put the cake on the dining table. When his eyes fell on the plates and bowls, they were exactly placed how he left. He removed the lid and saw the pancakes and coffee. Both were untouched. His heart sank. But then his eyes fell on a set of papers. He picked them and his heart dropped just seeing the divorce papers. He shook his head. No, this can't be. Ryan. He walked outside the kitchen calling your name. He was completely shaken after seeing those papers and your sign on them. He checked the whole house, called your name but got no response. His body started shaking with fear. He never thought you would want to end things like this. Jungkook loves you unconditionally. He was just hurt to see you changed like this, but he would never want you to leave him. He never even thought what he would do without you. He quickly grabbed his car keys and ran outside the house to search for you. You came to the Han River. The whole day you were sitting under the bridge. A numbness settled over you. The gentle breeze and the distant hum of the city was peaceful, but your mind was a mess. Sitting on the ground overlooking the river, you replay the events of the past year in your mind, the arguments, the harsh words, and the growing distance between you and Jungkook. You had blamed him for so much, but now, in the calm of the river's edge, a painful realization dawned on you. You had set extreme expectations for your marriage, expectations fueled by the picture perfect lives you saw around you. Social media, friends, stories, movies all painted an idealistic view of love and marriage. In your chasing of this perfect marriage, you had forgotten the genuine love and connection that had initially brought you and Jungkook together. Tears filled in your eyes as you thought about how you had changed. You had become demanding and critical, always wanting more, never satisfied. You realized that your own insecurities and unrealistic expectations had played a significant role in the downfall of your marriage. You had lost sight of the fact that a real marriage, a real relationship was built on understanding, patience, and love, not on superficial perfection. Guilt washed over you as you remembered the way Jungkook used to look at you, with eyes full of love and admiration, how he had tried to meet your ever growing demands only to be met with more criticism. You had been so focused on what you thought your marriage should be that you had overlooked the beauty of what it actually was. He is right. He must have regretted marrying me and he deserves someone better. Why does this marriage even need it to be saved? It wasn't falling. I made it fall and I ended up ruining everything. After crying your heart out, you got up. You realized that it was all your fault. The reason why Jungkook started to become cold and distant, that's because he must be feeling lonely and alone. You started walking towards the water. Shivers ran through your body when the ice cold water touched your feet. You didn't stop and kept walking as you wanted to erase that mess from your mind. Your eyes were closed and you kept walking without realizing that the water came above your knees. You were only thinking about Jungkook. You can't face him after all this. You never thought how you will live without him, so there was no other way around. After searching for you everywhere, calling all your friends and family, and knowing that none of them know where you are, he came at the Han River where his last hope was, but as soon as he stopped the car, his heart dropped when he saw you walking in the deep water. Wyan, no! He rushed outside the car and ran towards you. Fear surrounded him even more. Within a minute he came near you and grabbed your arm before pulling you in his embrace. How can you do this? What were you doing? You came back to your senses as if woke up from a deep sleep and found yourself engulfed in his arms. You could hear his heartbeat that was insanely fast. He walked you out of the water and looked at you. Your eyes filled up and you lowered your eyes because you don't know how to face him after all that. Do you want me to die, huh? What the hell were you doing? Why don't you think about me before doing all this? Is that why you made me fall in love with you so that you can leave me one day? He was breathing heavily, yet panic and concern visible on his face and voice. You looked at him and your tears fell. Guilt washed over you and you didn't know how to even stand in front of him. He hugged you tightly. Why you always give me hard time, girl? Why don't you understand I can't live without you? I have no world without you. Don't be so selfish. You finally burst into tears. He broke the hug and held your shoulders while your face hung low. Okay, I'm sorry. I swear I didn't want to say that. It just came out of my mouth in anger. I know I hurt you and I will never repeat that mistake again. Please forgive me this time. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I'm sorry for everything. He stopped when you started. I've been so caught up in my own expectations, in what I thought our marriage should be, that I lost sight of what actually matters. I pushed you away with my demands, with my criticism. I forgot to appreciate you for who you are. I ruined everything. He held you closer, his finger gently brushing away the tears on your cheeks. Ryan, it's not just you. I've made mistakes too. I should never have said those things last night. I was angry, I was frustrated, but none of it justifies hurting you like that. You shook your head, your heart was heavy with guilt. No, Jungkook, I pushed you to that point. I made you feel like you weren't enough, like our love wasn't enough. You deserve so much better than that. You don't have to apologize for feeling hurt. I should have been more patient, more understanding. I should have been there for you. You pulled back slightly to look into his eyes, needing him to see the depth of your regret. You have always been there. It's me who lost sight of us. I let my insecurities and unrealistic expectations poison our relationship. You deserve better. I ended up being toxic and blamed you for not putting efforts. I'm sorry, I'm so ashamed for all that. He shook his head, his heart cried to see this side of you. Don't think you were alone in this mistake, love. If you caught up in unrealistic expectations, I also didn't try to understand you. I was too comfortable with what we were that I never thought we could explore more. Don't blame yourself alone. It is only 1 year. We spent 3 years without any fights and couldn't even live for 1 year in marriage with peace. I'm sorry it happened because of me. He cupped your face, making you look at him. We will fix it together. We both know that we never thought living without each other, and we will never going to live without each other. Maybe this was some lesson from God's side, maybe to make us more stronger. We'll survive this and still grow old together. I'm sorry, I even left divorce papers on the table. I don't know what was going in my mind. Don't worry, I burned them. Don't think I would let you go that easily. You looked at him surprised, tears still filled in. I promise I will never repeat the mistake again. I know what I wanted and demanding was stupid and unrealistic. Don't know why I let all those things influence me and I ended up ruining our beautiful relationship. We have been through so much, still our love never died. We proved every time that our love was the strongest, and this time too. Let's forgive each other and start anew. It's our first anniversary. Let's promise that we'll never repeat this mistake again, till we are alive. You nodded while he smiled and kissed your forehead. I promise that I will never repeat it again. Good, and I promise whatever happens, I will never let those words come out of my mouth. I'm sorry. Thank you for being so nice and humble. Jungkook wrapped his arms around you. That's because I love you more than anything. Happy anniversary, love. I love you.